Hi there, and welcome to the Duel of the Dragons playthrough video. Today we're going to learn a little bit about how to play Duel of the Dragons. We'll just go through one example game, and you'll see some flashes on the screen of some of the actual card images, because sometimes on an iPhone that can be hard to read, and that's all I have to take a video with. So, first step of the game is to select the dragon that you want to play as, and your opponent would select as well. And we're going to get into the gameplay. I'll switch the video to the tabletop mode, and you can play along with me. Thanks.
Alright, so here we go. The starting player would draw 4 cards. The opposing player would also draw 4 cards. At the beginning of your turn, you draw 1 card, and looking at your hand, you have to decide what action you want to take. Each turn you get the opportunity to play 1 card, whether it's a special attack card, a combat card, or the other card is called an action card. Each of the cards has its own effect, which you would read through on the card, and you have to follow that. And then, in addition to that, combat cards have a special rule where you have to lay it beneath your dragon. So we'll say in this case, the silver dragon will play a basic attack, dealing 1 damage to their opponent. So there's no actual effect on this one other than doing 1 damage. And then I play this card in any of the 4 corners beneath my dragon, noting that each of the icons has a different value, which will become relevant later in the game. The higher the value, generally the better. So I would want to make sure that that 5 is very visible on my dragon. The red dragon takes a turn, draws a card, and again, this is an example of the action card called Mind Purge. Your opponent must discard 2 cards from their hand at random. It's kind of a cool ability and nice to use early in the game. Or I could play a combat card. So we're going to say Mind Purge is the card played. So that goes into the discard pile, and the opponent loses 2 cards at random. And maybe they were never going to use those 2 cards, but now their options are a lot more limited in the future. The red dragon's turn is over. Silver dragon gets to draw 1 card. You don't draw back up to 5. You just draw 1 card each turn. Keep in mind your dragons do have special abilities. So the top ability says that they always have a +1 to their head and tail icon. And the bottom ability for the silver dragon is to foresee. So whenever you draw your next card, instead look at the top 5 cards, choose 1 and shuffle the deck. So that bottom ability can be used once per turn, or sorry, once per round. And the top ability is always in effect. So, in this case, we're going to play an action card of my own. The silver dragon will choose 1 icon type, and for the rest of the round, each of those icons are worth +1 to their total value, and they get to take another turn. So for the rest of the game, we're going to say claws are worth +1. And then they draw another card for their next turn and get to go again. In this case, we're going to do a tail snap, dealing 3 damage to my opponent. And then I get to play that card again, any of the 3 corners left on my dragon. I probably don't want to cover up the 5 that I have, but when you're playing your cards, there's a certain way you put them on top of each other. So when you're playing it on the top and bottom, you play it just so that all the 5 icons are visible. And if I were to play it up here, I would play it so that 4 icons are visible. That's explained in the rules. So I'm going to play it down here right now. So right now I have 2 tail icons and 3 foot icons, but that will change later in the game. Then the red dragon takes a turn, draws a card, and they're going to try a claw slash, dealing 3 damage to the opponent, and place this card over here. Silver dragon takes a turn, draws a card. Going to play a chomp, deal 3 damage to your opponent. Place that card in one of the 4 corners. You can see there's a nice 5 icon there and a nice 3 icon there. Those are some good numbers. So I'm going to place it like that. When you put it on, you have 4 icons on the side. Red dragon takes their turn, draws a card. All combat cards, but again, each combat card has a different ability, and some of them have an effect based on icons. So in this case, dealing damage equal to the highest wing value visible on your dragon. So if I were to play that right now, that card would only do 1 damage. Not very relevant. But if I were to play it when I had a 4 icon, that would deal much more. So it becomes a game for those key cards. So right now, I'm going to do a chomp. Just deal 3 damage to your opponent. Let me place this card. So I'm going to place that there. Again, if you're playing it on the top, you keep 5 icons visible for that first round. Silver Dragon's going to take their turn, draw a card. So they have a card called Exert. You may place a special attack card and a combat card after playing this card, and then you draw a card. I don't have a combat card, so that card wouldn't be very relevant. So again, that Mind Purge really did some damage to me early in the game. So I'm going to play the Regenerate and gain 10 health points. So that gives me a bit more life to last longer in the game. The Red Dragon's turn. Draw a card. Alright. So they're going to play a basic attack, setting themselves up for a kickback later. So if you can see, this kickback would deal damage to the highest foot value. Right now is only a 1 or 2. But if I play this basic attack on my next turn, that's going to be a 5 damage card instead. So again, trying to set up the game with some strategic purpose there. So I just deal 1 damage to my opponent. Then the Silver Dragon takes their turn. They draw a card. So here, now is a good time to play my Exert. So I can play a special attack and a combat card after playing this card, and then I draw another card. So I play my Exert, play a special attack, double strike. Then I can play a combat card from my hand, and that card deals twice the damage this turn. So my Wing Buffet deals damage equal to the highest wing value on my dragon, which is at this time a 1, and then I'll add 3 damage, or I deal that twice. So I now deal 2 damage to my opponent, and I get to draw a card. And then Exert, let me draw a card as well. So I'm up to 2 cards again. Alright, so you have to keep your cards as aligned as you can when you're playing. Red Dragon's turn. They will draw a card. So I have an option to strategize. Pick up all combat cards that are beneath my dragon and replace them in any sequence. That's pretty handy really late in the game. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to do that kickback we were talking about and deal 5 damage to the Silver Dragon. Then I'll place this in the last corner because I cannot place on the sides until I've covered up all my corners. So once you've got your 4 corners established, you should have 5 icons on the top and bottom, and 4 icons on the left and right. Silver Dragon takes their turn. Ooh, got an ability for a second wind, which allows you to activate your dragon ability another time. Aerial Escape, which is handy for heavy duty attacks, or a deadly dive. So I'm going to play a deadly dive and deal damage equal to my wing values. So when you see that, that means not just 1 icon, but I get to add up all of my wings. So 3, 6, 7 damage I'm going to do right now with that deadly dive. Pretty handy card. And then I can play that on any of the 4 sides now that the 4 corners are filled. So I'll play that on the right hand side here, and it always goes in the middle to cover up the center icons. So then you end up with 5 on the right hand side. Red Dragon takes their turn, draws a card, and I'm going to do a Claw Slash. Deal 3 damage to your opponent. And I'll place this on the left hand side because it's got a high claw value. Silver Dragon takes a turn. They're going to draw a card. And they've got a nice card called Ancient Wisdom. So Ancient Wisdom allows them to draw 3 cards, which will be rather beneficial later in the game. Doesn't do any damage right now. Then the Red Dragon's turn. Draw a card. And we'll play a... You want to kind of set up the sides a bit. If you are watching your cards, you may not want to play stuff that's a 1 on the left-hand side. So I'm going to try Wing Buffet. Deal damage equal to the highest wing value. So I'm going to do 2 damage to my opponent and put this on the side here. And it's the Silver Dragon's turn. There's a lot more options now. Again, still have +1 to their claw values from that card. So right now claw values are worth 3 and 2. But there is a card called Savage Slash which multiplies their claws together. So if I can get the claw value higher, that could do some good damage. Do a Tail Snap, doing 3 damage to my opponent, and play this card on the side, making my claw value higher for next time. Then we go to the Red Dragon's turn. Draw a card. So getting the short end of the stick here for the Red Dragon. All the basic attacks helps with the icon values, but not so much with immediate damage. But we'll play a basic attack here and get a high wing value. So we're going to deal 1 damage to my opponent and place this card. I've only got the top and bottom left to cover up. So I'm going to cover up the top this time because the wing values are so high that comes in quite handy. As you can see now, I've got some high numbers up top. Silver Dragon's going to take a turn. Draw a card. Now they've got a pretty good card they just drew called Breath Weapon. Multiply your highest head value by 2. And it deals that much damage to your opponent. With my Silver Dragon, I already have +1 to my head, so my highest head value is 5, which is actually 6. Multiply that by 2, I'm going to do 12 damage this turn with that Breath Weapon, that special attack. On the Red Dragon. Alright, just had a little glitch there, but so just drew a Wing Buffet and a few options for the Red Dragon here. You could do lots of shuffling with all the different cards under it, or just keep on attacking, trying to build up the frame. So I'm going to do here a basic attack, do 1 damage, but build up a 5 on the side for their claws. Silver Dragon draws a card. Now, really suffering now with the lack of options, so we're going to activate my dragon ability, and this doesn't count against the once per round limit, and you get to draw a card. So activate the dragon ability first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get to look at the top 5 and pick one to put in their hand. They don't have many non-action abilities, so it might be a good idea to grab something like a Claw Slash, just to have an attack in hand. Put the rest on top and then shuffle the deck, and that's their ability. And then they get to draw a card. So that's Silver Dragon's turn. Red Dragon, draw a card. So Ancient Wisdom, not a bad card. You gain 3 more cards, but the Red Dragon already has a lot of options. So they're going to play their 5th action, which is going to result in her 6th combat card. Trying to find a way to keep building up that strength. So playing a basic attack may only do 1 damage, but it's going to put 2 5s on top of the dragon, which you'll see will be beneficial later on. So just 1 damage dealt. Then the Silver Dragon draws a card. So they built up their abilities here. Lots of options now. So a good one here might be Double Strike. Play a combat card from your hand. That card deals twice its damage. So play that, and instead of doing 3 damage, I'll do 6 damage and get to play this on one of my sides. I want to play it on the side where I can build up that claw, because that'll come in handy. Great. Alright, so putting it on the side, you cover up the 3 side icons, so you should now have 5 on the side, 5 on top. Then the Red Dragon draws a card, and they're going to keep on trying to finish off the game early before they take too much more damage. So we're going to do a Piercing Claw, deal damage equal to the highest claw value on your dragon. So that is a 5, which is pretty high, but it's also a Red Dragon, so they have +2 to their claw value. So 7 damage kind of deal, not bad. And I place this card down here. So Silver Dragon, seeing the end is in sight, it's going to do an aerial escape, and that prevents that 7 damage that just happened, and they get to draw a card. So it kind of replaces itself. Red Dragon's turns over, Silver Dragon draws a card. So might be a good time for this claw combo. Multiply your highest claw by your highest foot. Maybe not. Highest foot is only a 1. But could play a stomp, and then if they get a chance to play another card, that will come in. That would be a good move. So deal damage equal to the total foot values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. So all the ones added together. Deal 5 damage to the red dragon, and then play this card. I'm going to play this card in a place where that foot value can be seen well, so that goes here. And the red dragon takes a turn. Going to draw a card. Option to Cutting Claw, deal damage equal to your total claw values. That's a pretty good one for a red dragon. So, going to play that. Going to do 5 plus 4 is 9, but 2 more each, so 11 damage to the silver dragon with the Cutting Claw. And then place that card in its last position, so that is its 8th combat card. Once you've played 8 combat cards, you'll see the whole frame of the dragon is made. So there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. Which means if the red or silver dragon had a reaction card, they could play it, which they don't. So all cards from players' hands go away, and you just do the end by comparing the total values around the dragons, keeping in mind any bonuses that they may have. So when you add that up, we're going to find out how much the silver dragon has and how much the red dragon has. So that's a total of 40, but they get an extra value to their head and tail. So 40, 41, 42, 43 for the silver dragon, plus 1 more, 44, 45. So 45, then the red dragon will add up. So 5, 10, 13, 14, 15, 20, 24, 25, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 38, and then 4 more, so 40, 42. So actually the red dragon won this round by a difference of 3. So the round ends, we do 3 more damage to the red dragon, shuffle up all the cards, and round 2 would begin. And the dragon who is at the lower life total gets to start the next round. There's a chance to try to come back. So play would then progress, and sometimes the game could end on round 1 if there's a lot of damage dealt. It could end on round 2, or if it's a lot of regeneration or escaping happening, it might take 3 rounds, but most games will end on round 2 or 3. And that is how you play Duel of the Dragons. A lot of versatility you'll find, because each of the different dragons does have their own unique abilities, and you want to remember when to use those abilities and how they'll help you in the game. And of course there's all kinds of different cards, from understanding when and where to play your combat cards, because all of these icons trigger abilities later in the game, or when it's best to play a special attack or an action card, because losing an entire turn of playing a combat card could affect you later in the game. So I've been playing around with these cards quite a bit and trying to figure out what the best statistics are, what the best balance of action versus special attacks are, and through playtesting with others and playing against myself solo, like most game designers do, you kind of learn what the best options are, and that's what I've come up with right now. So I do hope you enjoyed the playthrough. Playing against myself, it's a little bit disarming, trying to remember all the different ins and outs of the game. But I would encourage you to give this game a try. I'm excited about what it has to offer, and very first game that we're going to try launching with Fundamental Games, a future tabletop board game company. Thank you.